Is this thing on?
Hello, and welcome back to the Essay Voice podcast by students for students. I'm Brian, and today I did a recording with Drishti, who's a student in the Healthcare Business Administration program. As well, she is a Essay Voice podcast host. She does a couple other extracurriculars, as well as being one of our newest board members on the SASLCK Board of Directors. We had a great conversation. We touched a little bit on what she got into this current program, her life before now, what she's been learning from her time as a student, and some lessons for other people. And she also has a very interesting take on Canada's national food dish. So I think this is a really great conversation. I think that everyone is going to enjoy. Today, we're going to be talking about some great things on the board. Drishti, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, though?
Thank you, Karen, Brian. So I'm Drishti, a new recruit to the Student Board of Directors, and I'm also part of the campus ambassador for Keep Me Safe and Guard Me. And I'm also part of Inactives and co-curricular advisory committee for the School of Business. And I'm a dental graduate from India, and I'm looking forward to this session. Thank you.
That is an impressive list of side projects. Wow. I thought I was involved in some extracurriculars because good job. Damn. So what makes you want to be so involved? What's kind of the reason behind that?
So I was always a participated student, being academically or professionally. I like to take up leadership roles. There was a part of in my life where I was not emotionally stable, and I took a step back, and it kind of affected me emotionally, and and kind of affected my personality. So it was a kind of a resolution for myself this year that I wanted to again have that in me. So I tried to connect with more people, and the online system has been so bad for every one of us, and being involved online was so difficult, but I think I sailed through it. So yeah.
It's funny. I think I've had kind of some similar things. I don't think I was as academically focused as you were early in my life. But yeah, when I came back to school, I was part of kind of like a restart of my life, essentially, right? And in doing so, I realized I wanted to take a lot more time to be involved with things. And so every chance I've had to get involved and to take part in some new opportunities and help other people, I have. So it's kind of funny that we're kind of looking at it in the same length. And you mentioned the online. It's interesting because I think it's giving us more time to do things like this, right? There's less travel time. You're not having to get on the bus to go to school. You're not having to drive to school. You have to get in and out of classes, and the ability to instantly kind of like end the call here and then like start some homework 2 seconds later. It's awful to be so disconnected, but it's really great for work productivity if you don't mind the isolation. You can find your way to be around other people.
I know it sometimes gets frustrating too, but it has its own pros and cons. Everything has its own pros and cons. It was very difficult to me because I was not on the campus, and how will I get to volunteer, like who to go and who to ask to? It was a task, but when I got contacted with the right people, I got the chances I wanted.
That's fantastic. Yeah, you gotta find your own way sometimes. Now, myself personally, I am listening to a lot of music when I'm sitting at home. How about you? What are 3 songs that you could listen to on repeat?
I believe there is one song by Shawn Mendes and Camilo, which is Senorita, and anything that has Dua Lipa in it, I love it. And even Ariana Grande, I love her.
Okay. It's not my normal like throw on music, but that is kind of style beats where like if it comes on the radio, I'm jamming with it. We all have our own styles. I have my own, you have your own. I love it. That's the beautiful thing about music.
Yeah, I know.
How about food? What's like a popular dish that most people would like that you would banish off the face of the earth?
Well, I wouldn't want to banish anything from the.
Oh, come on. There's some things that do not deserve to be.
But there is a thing that I hate the most. Okay. Is that anything with fries, there are people who put gravy or dressing on the fries. I just hate it. I want my fries to be very crispy and crunchy, and I hate it. I was just like, put the gravy on the side and you put the fry in the gravy. I just hate it. I know I would be hurting some sentiments here, but I don't like it.
Okay, so that sound you just heard was the entire province of Quebec coming after you because you just insulted poutine. And what?
Yeah.
No, that's one of the closest things we have to a national dish in Canada, and you just went after it. Oh, Drishti, what have you done?
Yeah.
That's delightful.
It's so gross and so soggy, and I just don't like it. I know. At the first time I landed in Canada, I had poutine, and my experience was like, okay.
Oh, sure, sure. This exists, I guess.
Yeah.
No, I will say one thing. Like with poutine, part of a good one is like the fries do have to be really crispy when it starts. Like if you start with soggy fries, it does get really nasty. Like and it's one of those dishes where with crispy fries, and you eat it quickly, it is really great.
Yeah.
If you let it sit around, and it's like it's not one of those dishes that you want to reheat. If you go that, it is a little bit off. But what can you do, right? I guess Canada can't be wrong, but Canada can also not be right sometimes. What about a favorite dish that you do love? Like what's like your go-to when it's like a gray November day and you're stressing about finals? Like what's like your go-to comfort dish?
Well, my comfort dish would be anything which is Indian, like I'm from India. So I like everything. I'm a North Indian. So I like to have like something with rice
Yeah,
or
okay.
like I I recently turned to vegetarian. So like
Oh, nice.
anything with involving rice or like we have that staple in I'm Punjabi also. So we have a staple of rajma and chawal, we call it. So it's my comfort food.
Okay, and so what is that?
So it's a kind of a gravy of pulses, and you have it with rice. You know, a kind of gravy with involving tomatoes and everything.
Okay.
Uh, the normal gravy with your pulses and anything involving pulses. I like gravy and rice because most of the people like to eat naan. I think you have heard of naan,
No,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
Roti.
Yeah, I
So
have
I like rice.
yeah, I have some familiarity with Indian food, but I always like more, especially like as you with yourself. I'm trying to go more vegetarian. I made the full switch for a while this summer, but I was finding I was like losing a bit more muscle mass than I wanted. I was struggling to get the protein, just didn't have the time. So now I've kind of transitioned back where I'm trying 1 or 2 meals a day. I'm eating vegetarian. The other one, yeah, I'm eating meat still. It was kind of a bit of a process, but I I love Indian food. It is absolutely beautiful, and there's a lot of flavors, and it is great how it does lend itself to vegetarianism in a lot of ways. It's very much a staple part of the culture food, which is amazing. So I think you already mentioned it, but what program are you in, Drishti?
So I'm in Healthcare Administration International, and I'm currently in my first year, about to complete my first year this December.
Okay, cool. What made you want to get into that?
So it has a kind of a story to it. Back in India, when I was completing my dental surgery program, so it was very evident to me that it's just the doctors or the nurses who are running the hospital. So
Mhm.
when I got into the system, it became very evident to me. So no, it's not the doctors only; it's the administrators who are running behind the scenes so that the doctors or nurses or any support staff can focus their attention on the medical needs of the patients. And also it was the pandemic which focused or magnified the need for good administrators,
Mhm.
because doctors can only treat the patients, but the administrators have to make sure that we have sufficient beds or the equipments and everything. So it's what called for me. And also in my dental surgery back in India program, the clinical side did not really interested me. So it was the
Okay.
management style, that interested me. So I took up this course.
That's really interesting, and especially like I said with the pandemic and highlighting just the need for this. It is really cool. There's a whole network behind every kind of organization that people really don't see and think about. Like the military, everyone thinks of like the fighters, and yet there's all these people supporting logistics. Like myself personally, I spent time as a cook and construction before I came back to school for business and for accounting. And what drew me back was kind of seeing behind all these businesses, you have the same kind of thing. And you see all these people that are very talented at what they do, but they have no concept of how to do things like marketing or how to do their own accounting. And you realize that this is the whole support infrastructure. Like, I want to be part of that because like I don't necessarily have something I want to do specifically, but I'd love to help the other people behind. And I feel like you're the same way. Like, surgery, not so much, but I'll help you guys do this, and we'll make sure it's a better world around us. That's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah, either way, I'm helping the patients, right? It was my dream to help the patient and the community, and either way, I'm doing it. It doesn't mean that I'm not into surgery or into the medical, like the forefront of it. I'm at the background, but still, I'm working towards it.
Absolutely, and you have to have both. It's just that if a doctor has to do it, then you're pulling them away from what they can do with the patient, and that's yeah, I dig that. It's amazing. So what lessons have you learned from either your prior schooling or now that you would like to share with new students to kind of prepare them for their academic or professional careers?
Okay. What lessons I learned basically was to improve your skills. In India, there is nothing, a little importance was given to skills, but more
Okay.
to the academic theory rather than being the practical thing. And here, when I come to Canada or when I started my studying online from India, a word networking came into existence, which I was not very familiar with. So I used to ask my teachers, like professors, like, what is networking? How will I do networking? How do you network with people? So it's amazing. Like, if you start, networking is all about meeting new people from different backgrounds or from the same background. It's where you get to know their knowledge, their expertise, and you try to, enhance your skills as well. So this is what I learned, and I want to improve in my future as well, to improve the skills. And I know the importance of skills in Canada is so much. So this is what called for me to go for the board of directors team, position as well, because I get to, advance my career as well as network with different people.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I think I actually did a podcast last year, and it's kind of the importance of basically like self-branding things, and a big part that we talked about was networking. And because no matter what career you're in, you can find mentors, you can find people that are like-minded, and you can develop new skills. Networking is a great way to gain information about other companies that you may potentially want to work for, or customers, clients, things along that nature. And that's just like obviously looking at it from a lot of business perspective, but that applies to every kind of career, right? Like there's always going to be someone that is very similar to you in a similar position that you can learn from, you can gain from. And I think we can learn something from everybody, but you're going to be able to learn more from people that are in a kind of a similar state, whether career wise or industry wise, and finding more opportunities to do so. And then finding opportunities to meet people outside of your chosen career, because it is very easy to kind of get almost siloized. Because like if you only hang out with people in your program, you're going to see a very limited part of the school experience. So doing something like the board or the podcast or some of the other things you're taking part of, it allows you to kind of reach out and you get to meet people you wouldn't get to otherwise. And that's part of the fun. And it's part of the joy of life, right?
Exactly.
So what's been some experiences you've had with your kind of extracurricular so far? Like what's been like a highlight of that experience so far?
What's the highlight of my what
Of
experience?
your kind of like your extracurricular so far? Because I know you're involved with a
Okay.
couple. Like what's like a highlight from that?
So it's just like you have said, meeting with different people and getting to know what their knowledge or their skills are. So I'm an extrovert so by nature. So I like to connect with different people and get to know what their understanding is about different things or different topics. And you get to know different perspectives, about various things. So this is what I love about, getting into extracurricular activities, and you really get involved into the system and you get to work for the cause the association is working for. Exactly. So I like working for things that make community better, and this is what I have been working since I was young. Since the school days I have been working, like being associated with old age homes or working as a food manager for a foundation, and then I like doing that things.
That's amazing, honestly. Right? So it seems like you said you have a lifelong kind of goal or tend towards taking your time to help other people and being involved. Was there a particular moment that led you to this, or is this just something that's always been part of your life?
So I think it was engraved into me from my parents. They are
Okay.
like that. My grandfather and my grandmother, they all are like that. They like helping the community. So, and also my teachers in the school I was in, they always supported such initiatives. So I think it was a part of my life because they were doing the things and I was just helping doing my thing to them.
Fantastic. I think in life, everyone always has that nature versus nurture argument. And I think that both play a big fact, but the environment that you're in, it makes a huge impact. And starting to kind of set a culture of accountability and helping people out, it really does help other people, and it makes that kind of bit of a groundswell. And I think what you're talking about is a perfect example. And it kind of is nice because then you know that what you're putting out is hopefully getting picked up by someone else, and that increases it. And like we're seeing with this kind of finally move towards actually dealing with climate change or the climate emergency. So actually, we're going to have to do a lot of effort on this, and like our other social mind programs. So starting with something, I think is really important. So along that lines, with the board of directors, I know you're just getting started, but what's surprised you about the experience so far?
Like you've said, it just started, so it was my first meeting, and I was a bit overwhelmed by all
Yeah,
the
I'm sure you were.
So, but what surprised and fascinated me was how the meeting went and what was the dynamic between everybody, every one of you. So it was like how cooperatively and collaboratively you address the conflicts or the discussion. It was kind of, getting an understanding through it. And it is what I dream about, because if I'm doing what I'm doing right now, I will be sitting in a hospital in a kind of a discussion like this. So this is a kind of gives me a forehand experience for what is ahead of me in the future. So I liked it.
Awesome. I'm happy to hear it. Yeah. For the for those people that don't know, we have our first board meeting in person in a couple of years, actually. And it was interesting. We got some interesting conversations about some very important stuff. And we went a little bit long because we were just so engaged, and it was a lot of fun. And anybody, by the way, anybody out there, you guys can attend our board meetings and you can read our minutes if you want to see what's happening again. I think it actually is really important. So I'm talking with the board though. Do you have any goals that you're hoping to achieve while on the board?
My goal will be to improve the student engagement or to work for the cause that the SA is working for. And my personal goal will be to increase my own skill set and knowledge, and to advance in my career aspect of things. So yeah.
I love that. Drishti, I think it's been a great conversation. I think we're just about wrapping up. Is there anything that you would like to say before we get out of here? And then after that, I have one last little question for you.
Okay, so it's like if I can do it, then anybody can do it, right? So it's like people always have this first kind of hesitation of getting involved into things. It's just the first hesitation. I would recommend everybody just to take the first step, and things will get along the way. And this is my suggestion to everybody, and this is what I do. I know there are things where I get stuck, but it's not the end of the world, things happen. So you just have to take the first step, and opportunities will just come and flow by yourself. You just don't have to do anything. I know finding my first volunteer thing and finding first thing was so hard, but then everything just came along the way.
That's fantastic. And you know what? That's such a good message. I think we'll just leave on that. So thank you very much, Drishti. I appreciate you coming on today. I'm sure people were able to see a great insight into your charitable work and your work as a whole. So thank you very much. We appreciate your time, and talk to you again soon.
You're welcome, Brian. Thank you.